चलो स्टार्ट कर. Hare Krishna. So this is actually very important verses of Bhagavad Gita, the 13th and 14th verse of second chapter. These are actually liberation verses. So Krishna is defining the eligibility of liberation, and he is also telling who is a dhira. He is also defining dhira. So these are like the litmus test whether you are acting on the spiritual platform, whether you are able to tolerate the happiness and distress of the material world. So very important verses. So listen carefully. देवनस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तेर्धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So actually, a dhira is not bewildered by a change of bodies because he is totally fixed on the spiritual platform. And why? How is he able to fix himself on the spiritual platform? Because he has a very strong connect with Krishna. His sanskaras are very nice. He has a very strong connect with the super soul within his heart. So, like this, he knows he has trained his mind to connect to Krishna throughout, always. Purport given by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Since every living entity is an individual soul, each is changing his body every moment, manifesting sometimes as a child, sometimes as a youth, and sometimes as an old man. Yet the same spirit soul is there and does not undergo any change. This individual soul finally changes the body at death and transmigrates to another body. And since it is sure to have another body in the next birth, either material or spiritual, there was no cause for lamentation by Arjuna on account of death, neither from Bhishma, neither for Bhishma nor for Drona, for whom he was so much concerned. Rather, he should rejoice for their changing bodies from old to new ones, thereby rejuvenating their energy. Such changes of body account for varieties of enjoyment or suffering according to one's work in life. So, Bhishma and Drona, being noble souls, were surely going to have spiritual bodies in the next life, or at least life in heavenly bodies for superior enjoyment of material existence. So, in either case, there was no cause of lamentation. So, like a lot of important points Prabhupada is conveying in this paragraph, actually. So, whatever we do in this life, that is shaping our next life, right? And that's what he's saying, that Bhishma and Drona are noble souls. So for sure, either they will attain higher planets, or they will go to like heavenly planets, or they will go to spiritual planets. So there is no point of lamentation. So Krishna is changing the material conception of Arjuna to spiritual conception, right? So that is the most important duty of a spiritual master, that he should try to make the disciple understand the spiritual conception. What is the reality? What is the internal potency? Where we are going, where we are coming from, where we are in our journey towards Krishna. So that's what Krishna is doing with Arjuna. Any man who has perfect knowledge of the constitution of the individual soul, the super soul, and nature, both material and spiritual, is called a dhira, or a most sober man. Such a man is never deluded by the change of bodies. So this is the real definition. He understands soul, he understands super soul, and he understands the nature of the material and spiritual things. He is able to see, he is able to distinguish between matter and spirit. So he is able to see that this body, this is temporary, but the soul which is in the heart, that is eternal. And when we do bhakti activities, this spiritual conception becomes more and more stronger. Only thing required is more and more dedication towards the instructions of Prabhupada. The Mayavad theory of oneness of the spirit soul cannot be entertained on the ground that the spirit soul cannot be cut into pieces as a fragmental portion. Such cutting into different individual souls would make the supreme cleavable or changeable against the principle of the supreme souls being unchangeable. As confirmed in the Gita, the fragmental portions of the supreme exist eternally, Sanatan, and are called Shara. That is, they have a tendency to fall down into material nature. So Mayavadis say that everything is one. So because spirit soul cannot be cut, right? So it can, these fragmental portions are eternally so, and even after liberation, the individual soul remains the same fragmental. But once liberated, he lives an eternal life in bliss and knowledge with his personality of Godhead. The theory of reflection can be applied to the super soul, who is present in each and every individual body and is known as the Paramatma. He is different from the individual living entity. When the sky is reflected in water, the reflections represent both the sun and the moon and the stars also. The stars can be compared to the living entities and the sun or the moon to the Supreme Lord. The individual fragmental spirit soul is represented by Arjuna, and the Supreme Soul is the personality of Goddess Shri Krishna. They are not on the same level as it will be apparent in the beginning of the fourth chapter. If Arjuna is on the same level with Krishna and Krishna is not superior to Arjuna, then their relationship of instructor and instructed becomes meaningless. If both of them are deluded by the illusory energy Maya, then there is no need of one being the instructor and the other the instructed. Such instruction would be useless because, in the clutches of Maya, no one can be an authoritative instructor. Under the circumstances, it is admitted that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord, superior in position to the living entity Arjuna, who is a forgetful soul deluded by Maya. ठीक है, तो आई थिंक ये क्वेश्चन पूछा था तुम्हें से किसी ने, आई थिंक पवन प्रभु ने पूछा था कि मतलब whether you are a spiritual master or not, right? Like, so basically this meaningful exchanges come when we understand our goal, our purpose of that exchange. For example, guhyam akyati prichiti tadati pratigrana. So when two devotees get together, there is a mutual understanding between them. There is a mutual respect about them, about each other, and that's why they are able to share Krishna Katha with each other, and they are able to benefit each other. And even higher is like when a senior devotee is accepted as a shiksha guru. Shiksha guru means basically as an instructing devotee at that moment. So then the exchanges will become more meaningful because the senior devotee will be more confident that the junior devotee is more receptive. So then senior devotee will do that uh, conversation where he will share all his realizations, and the junior devotee will ask questions, and then he will share his understanding. So that's how it becomes a spiritual conversation. In Hindi, it is called samvad. In scriptures, you will find so many samvads. For example, Arjuna and Krishna, right? Arjuna is asking so many good questions to Arjuna, to Krishna, and that's why all the misconceptions are dissolved. And at the right moment, he is asking the right question. Similarly, we see in like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing this samvad with Ramananda Rai. So this samvad is going on. Like senior devotee speaks for some time, and then junior devotee asks questions. He shares his understanding, and then he speaks more. So like this, they both are able to achieve Krishna. So if we understand these principles of conversation of samvad, then it's a great victory actually. Krishna of like discussing Krishna Katha. Then we can enlighten each other actually. Senior devotee is not guru actually. He's not a pure devotee. But still, if he is able to like share his realizations, whatever he has applied in his life, then that enlightenment will come in the heart of the receptive person. Okay. So any questions? I will read the rest of the purport tomorrow. Himanshu Prabhu, any questions? Everything clear. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you all for joining.